Today we are going to learn about the cruciate ligament injuries of the knee, that is the anterior cruciate ligament and the posterior cruciate ligament. This is a very important topic related to injury in the sports because this is a very common injury happening in most of the athletic players, that is the ACL tear, anterior cruciate ligament tear. Now let's learn more about it. Knee joint is one of the most commonly injured joint because it lacks bony and muscular support around it. It is positioned between two longest bones, that is the femur and the tibia, and there is a lot of weight bearing and locomotion functions involved in it. Now there are two kind of injuries, that is the acute knee injury and overuse knee injury. As we know, injuries, it involves cruciate ligaments, collateral ligaments, meniscal tears, and osteochondral problems. Whereas it also includes patellar dislocation. Now, anterior cruciate ligament. Anterior cruciate ligament, as I told, is one of the most common ligament injury in the body. It is the most common injury of any athlete, especially involving football. Almost 99% of players playing football have some time or the other anterior cruciate ligament injury in their career. It is mostly caused because of a non-contact injury. It is secondary to deceleration forces or hyperextension. As you can see in the picture, there is a hyperextension of the knee which causes anterior cruciate ligament. The planted foot and sharply rotating, it is majorly caused because of rotating force when the tibia is rotated in one direction and the femur gets rotated in the opposite direction, usually that time, or when there is hyperextension or there is a direct contact. It is also uh, secondary to it is associated many other injuries such as meniscal tears and medial collateral ligament injuries. Now this is a normal knee joint having the femur and tibia fibula. You can see the anterior cruciate ligament. It is usually, as the picture shows, rotating injury when the femur gets rotated in one direction and tibia fibula gets rotated in the opposite direction. The force is of main use. The force is sudden, the duration is very less, and the direction is opposite. Now, normal ACL, you can see the normal ACL during flexion and extension, and you can see the torn ACL during uh, after the injury. You can see the ligaments which is torn. Now, females are more susceptible to this injury. Even the gymnast and basketball are at highest risk. The risk of injury increases 2 to 8 times in women. There are many cases. As I told you, it's a very common injury even in the normal population. The gender difference is not clear, but females are more susceptible to it. What happens in it? Joint laxity happens, limb alignment is malaligned, neuromuscular activation is lost. Now, what are the clinical symptoms that we see? During at the time of injury, we hear a popping sound that knee gives and feeling of knee giving away. That is, we're talking about third degree tear when all of the ACL has been torn. That is, all the fibers are torn. There is a popping sound and feels like knee is giving away. There is a significant swelling within 1 hour. The knee joint becomes unstable. There may be locking during flexion. The range of motion is decreased and there is a sharp pain while moving or weight bearing. Now, during examination, what we find is that there is a large effusion in the joint. There is decreased range of motion because of effusion. Definitely, the range of motion will decrease. It is difficult to bear weight. Weight bearing is really difficult because of sharp pain. The anterior draw test, that is the main test for detecting the ACL tear, it is positive, in which what we do is we make the patient lie down on the bed. We flex the knee to 45 degrees, hip and knee are flexed to 45 degrees, and then you can see in the picture uh, the therapist pushes the tibia posteriorly. If the laxity is there, that means the the anterior draw test is positive. Also, the Lashman test is positive. Now, imaging tests that are used are usually X-rays. What we X-rays, we cannot see the tear, but effusion is evident in the X-rays. So as you can see, the left one is a X-ray of a chronic injury and right one is a X-ray of a acute injury. So the dullness shows the joint effusion, while as in the left the effusion has gone away because it is a chronic injury, there is no effusion. And then for certainty, for confirming it, MRI is done. In the MRI we can see this is the ACL visible in a normal MRI. This is the ACL torn from this side, you can see. So MRI is the perfect imaging technique. Anterior draught rest can also be done. Now we come upon to the treatment, how we manage the kind of tears, how do we manage it. So of course the first treatment is RICE, that is rest, icing, compression and elevation. Rest is anyways necessary because the joints become unstable. So to prevent further injury, it is always recommended to give the knee rest. Icing is definitely recommended for 72 hours. So it is done for approximately 50 to 20 minutes, at least 4 to 8 times a day. Compression can be done using a compression bandage. It helps in preventing the swelling, also giving the stability to the knee. And then elevation is to be done. The patient is asked to elevate the leg above his heart level to decrease the swelling. Now what is the prognosis of the injury? Usually it is an isolated injury. So in a condition of 1 degree or 2 degree tear, rest is recommended. Then we do strengthening, and then when we feel the stability, the knee is stable, the muscles are strong, we can recommend the patient to get back into sports or normal life. If we talk about a 3 degree tear, that is a full tear, operation is the only management. So we do a ligament surgery, and post-op 8 to 12 months is required for full agility functions. That is, an athlete if gets injured or a normal pencil gets injured and surgery is done, then it takes at least 8 months to get back to full normal agility. That is, only after 8 months the person will be get back to his normal sports. So what are the referrals? I mean, who all come? All the young athlete patients will require reconstruction. Reconstruction is not the only option. You can opt not to get reconstructed, but then later in life degenerative joint diseases occur, such as arthritis. So reconstruction if done, then the risk of degenerative diseases are decreased. Now as ACL, PCL is also a ligament that is located posteriorly. It prevents the posterior stability. It gives the knee posterior stability. So what happens? How does the injury happen? It happens just opposite to what happened in ACL. That is, hyper extension gives ACL tear. So hyperflexion gives PCL tear. How does it happen? Falling on a bent knee with foot plantar flexed, or hit on a fixed anterior tibia. That is contact injury. That is usually in sports, such as a footballer's knee, footballer's foot hitting the shin. What happens? Clinical feature, again a popping can be heard at the back of the knee. The swelling is in the popliteal fossa. In this, anterior draught rest was for ACL, posterior sag test is for PCL, and posterior draught rest is for PCL. So treatment, again same, RICE is for acute injuries, and then immobilization, crutches, physician referral, 6 to 8 weeks of rest or rehab, that is post surgery. And if surgery is elected, 6 weeks of immobilization. Immobilization is given with the help of braces. Now we've talked briefly about how the injury happens, what are the clinical features, how do we medically treat it. Now coming on to the main part, the physical rehabilitation, that is majorly after the 3rd degree tear, because in 1 degree, 2 degree, only some things, the major things that we do is, first of all, to reduce the pain, reduce the swelling. When the pain and swelling is gone, then we work on the strengthening of the muscle. Initially we work on the we do isometric training, that is the co-contraction of hams and quads, and then we move on to increasing the range of motion, increasing the flexibility, and then increasing the strength. We do resistive training. closed and kinematic, open kinematic, first closed kinematic and then open kinematic, and then dynamic strengthening against resistance bands or weights, and then person comes back to his normal routine. In the case of reconstruction, a thorough rehab plan is required because it is a major surgery of the knee. A lot of weakness happens, so we need a proper protocol so that we can strengthen the knee so that it comes back to its normal function. And especially if we are talking about an athlete, he needs to get back to his sport and has to be again in 100% fitness level. So I will just describe you week wise how it is done. So if we plan for reconstruction, the therapy started pre-operatively. The aims of the pre-operative rehab is to strengthen the quads and the hams, to improve the coordination between the agonist and the antagonist so as to prevent any kind of instability, to increase the range of motion, and to do flexibility exercises. Now when we have done all this, the date of the surgery has been planned, the surgery happens, and from since day 0 only we start the rehabilitation. We don't have to wait for days or weeks to pass. The rehabilitation starts immediately on day 0. So on the day 0 what we do is we first of all analyze the patient. We check for weight bearing, and our main goals are to decrease the pain and swelling, to increase the range of motion, and restore full extension. Extension has to be worked upon as early as possible because usually there is a extension lag which prevents in proper locking of the knee in later stages. So extension, we have to work on knee extension, and then maintaining the flexibility of hams, calves, and quadriceps activation. Exercises such as heel slides can be done on the bed, or we can use slider board for it. We can do supine leg up, wall heel slides. We can do bike pendulums, that is we can ask the patient to sit on a stationary bike cycle, that is stationary cycle, and just do pendulum exercises, not 360-degree motion, but just do pendulum, 80-degree front, 80-degree back. Pendulum exercises are done on a bicycle. Seating hamstring stretch, hamstrings are to be stretched to promote the flexibility. Quadriceps are also stretched, co-contraction are worked, isometric training is given for quads and hams. We put a towel roll under the knee and ask the patient to press it and count till 10, hold it, and slowly increase the time of the contraction. This helps in activating the muscles and preventing any kind of weakness. And then from week 3 to week 6, our main goal is to achieve almost near range of motion in knee flexion and extension, continue the flexibility exercises of other joints, continue strengthening exercises with control, that is of hips, hamstrings, quads, and calves, strengthening of non-injured leg, progress to the proprioception exercises. Now the patient now we work on the proprioception as well, that is we ask the patient to stand, and then stand with eyes closed and stand with eyes open and try to move while still on a brace. And normal gait patterns are to be looked upon in week 3 to 6. What are the exercises that we can do is we can continue with the heel slides. We can now ask the patient to sit on a stationary bicycle and do full range of pedaling, that is 360 pedaling, front and back both ways, slowly. And then standing hamstring stretch is given, and hamstrings and gluteal stretches are also given, and calf raises are done. Now proprioception, as I talked about, looking forward, the patient is standing and then looking forward and then looking away, eyes open, eyes closed, to check the base of support, if he is able to maintain the balance or not, if proprioception is intact or not. So we have to work on proprioception also. Now gait training also begins, so we have to see if knee extension is there in the normal gait or not. So knee extension, as I told, is a very major part that we have to work. From 6 to 9 weeks, this is the phase of where strengthening begins, and we pressurize more on the strengthening. So it is a full and pain-free range of motion. We should ensure that there is a full and free painless range of motion. The quadriceps strength should be good enough. The hamstring strength should be good enough. calf should be activated while standing. That means anti-gravity muscle should work, and we should continue the strengthening of the lower extremity muscle group, that is through the full range of motion. Now, what all the exercise that can be done? Exercises, now resistance bands can be used, hip flexion with the help of resistance bands, hip extension with the help of resistance bands, abduction and adduction is done. Knee flexion and extension are done with weights or weight cuffs. We can start lunges, supported lunges. First of all, static lunges are done, and then dynamic lunges are done. And then finally coming onto the final, that is a 9 to 12 week protocol. Flexibility exercises are continued, quadricep stretching is being done, hamstring stretching is being done. We work more on the flexibility of the muscles. Now we have to increase the end ranges, we have to increase the strength. Now sports and fitness training begins. We start with light agility exercises like jumping jacks. Flexibility is further worked upon by doing dynamic stretches, which involves movements. Now lunges can be done with weights. Running is started. Burpees, patient can start burpees, so that includes a lot of dynamic activation of quads and hams and calves, so that the lower limbs are activated fully. And we can also suggest simultaneously hydrotherapy for the patient, so it is very good for weight bearing exercises also. And finally, 12 to 16 weeks is total cardiovascular strengthening, in which the patient gets onto his sport back again. All the kind of exercises, strengthening exercises and rehabilitative exercises are done in whatever actions that are involved. So this is a week wise transition of how we do after the reconstruction of ACL and PCL. So this has to be remembered. We have to increase the complexity stage wise as we go ahead in the treatment plan, and not before 8 months should the person get back into his sports. So that's about ACL and PCL. In the next class we'll learn about collateral ligament injuries.